everyone. I'm Darian Gold, and welcome to All Things Pilates Season 6. As we dig deeper into the life of a contrologist, this season's guest list shares what the Pilates methodology can offer to anyone who desires health and wellness. On this show, we'll explore, seek, and investigate what's possible when we incorporate contrology into our lives. On this episode, we have with us Shari Berkowitz, the creator and founder of the Vertical Workshop. Shari travels nationally and internationally, imparting the Pilates methodology, but with a comprehensive focus on biomechanics. Hello, Shari. Welcome to All Things Pilates.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Finally, we're getting together.
Totally. I think about like the years that we both lived in LA at the same time, and for whatever reason, our paths didn't really cross.
And we never did a workshop together, or when Romana would come into town?
No, actually. And when I was living in LA, I was no longer interested in working with Romana.
Okay. Say no more. Say no more. Or unless you do want to say more.
Sure. And as we go on, we'll see what comes up.
I thought I was the only one thinking, God, there is so much drama around this woman.
A lot of drama. And I made a decision at one point, enough of the drama.
Good for you. Okay, so my first question is a three-parter. A what, a when, and a why. What is the Vertical Workshop? When did you create it? And why?
Great questions. Okay, the Vertical Workshop is a school. It happens to be in-person and online school that teaches Pilates in multiple forms, meaning classes, sessions, teacher training for those who are apprentices, as well as bridge participants. So that kind of continuing education for teachers, as well as continuing education for teachers. And then I provide a lot of the Vertical Workshop provides a lot of information for the public also. There's a blog and there's videos. So it's a really comprehensive teaching company, I think is the best way to say it.
How do you reach out to the public?
Well, it started with the blog. It started with my blog, and I should look up, when did I start my blog? And I want to say it was 2008. I was an early Pilates blogger, and though not early in the blog world, and it's the Pilates teacher blog. But what I found was that a lot of non-teachers were reading my blog because it's really useful information for Pilates people. So it started that way. And then, of course, with social media. And I don't know why I'm so surprised that there's so many non-teachers who have gotten into my stuff. And I'm thrilled. If it helps people with their practice and understand a little bit more of how to get what it is that they're looking for, that's what I'm thrilled about. Yeah.
When did this all happen, though? The Vertical Workshop came about because...
Yeah, the Vertical Workshop, it just turned 20 as a business entity. So in 2004, February 2nd, 2004, I opened it as a studio. I had been teaching for years before that and doing Pilates for years before that. But then I opened up a brick and mortar studio in Beverly Hills, and that became the entity, the Vertical Workshop. I wanted a studio because at that time, and I still do, I wanted apprentices, and I wanted to have them at a place that was mine, and a place that's how I could have apprentices with the company that I was working with at the time. And I wanted to have a place that was really drama-free, and which sometimes.
Oh my God, in Los Angeles? That's impossible.
Well, I'll say that I certainly had been working at other places that were extremely dramatic, and I was like, it's time for my own home. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, why do you think that is in our community?
Yeah.
The drama or the angst or the insecurity follows many people in this industry. Why must it be this way?
I don't think it has to be this way. And I think that, it's, oh God, I'm nothing if not extremely honest. And why not? I think that it's about two things. One is about our leadership. If our leadership, the people who are running teacher training programs, of people who are running studios, if those people have an insecurity about their business, if they feel they don't really understand what it is that they're doing, they feel threatened. They feel they're on shaky ground. And so then there's many options you could do when you feel insecure. And one of them, and it's not my preference, one of them is to attack. And so I think that that's a big part of the drama that exists in the Pilates world. I think the foundation of what people are often being taught is not strong enough for them to feel genuinely confident. And the teachers that they learned from were full of drama and attack. And so then you learn that, and that begets, the next generation of people who are continuing a really unhealthy kind of communication and community.
I would say there's little communication, and this is one reason why I do have my podcast now in its 6th season, is to have community where there is a place for people to at least come and listen and learn, be inspired, ask questions, contact you or the other guests if something elicits maybe a response they don't understand.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And we dovetail with each other really well, because the vertical workshop, I say we're a community of help. And so, right, that we should be able to communicate with each other, share what our concerns are, be okay with the fact that we don't know everything, and how do we help each other rather than put roadblocks of either emotional or physical roadblocks in front of people and say that you can't A, B, and C. Instead, why can't we all together, and it's okay? That being human is okay.
Oh, yes. That was not necessarily encouraged, at least
No.
when I went through her program.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
How long did you have your studio in Beverly Hills? And where? Where in Beverly Hills?
It was on Olympic Boulevard between Robertson and Doheny. And I opened it February 2nd, 2004, and I closed it to move back home to New York. I think it was the end of January of 2000. Oh yeah, I think I just finished my lease of 2010. So it was just 6 years in that space. And then it's been a full web of communication across the world, which we could talk about in a second. But it was 6 years in that space. It was great. It was wonderful.
And which program were you teaching?
At the time, I was the director of West Coast Education for Power Pilates, and their lead teacher trainer next to Bob Leakins. And so I did that those years.
So Power Pilates really was an offshoot of Ramana's program.
Not necessarily.
Oh.
The originators of Power Pilates, one was a chiropractor and the other was not. Right, it was Howard Sechel. And then the other, Susan Moran, was not trained by Ramana. I can't recall what her training program, I believe, I could be very, very wrong. But I believe that it was something else. I could be extremely wrong. In fact, I'm thinking
maybe I am wrong.
Yeah, don't my words there. But I believe that there were influences of other training styles.
And which apparatus company did you go with
when
you had your studio?
Oh, in my studio, I had when Basil was still with Gratz, I was with Gratz. There was no Pilates Designs, and so I had all Gratz designed by and made by Basil, and then later on, Basil and I started making things together.
Oh, I don't know that part of the story.
I have an amazing custom piece that I designed with Basil's assistance. That's pretty amazing.
Is it true that he came up with the concept of the wall unit?
I do not believe so. I believe that was Steve Giordano at at Purchase College, and is it university or college? And Steve Giordano was working Romana's program there. And this is when I'm thinking maybe Susan Moran actually was at that college, was at Purchase, but I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
So please don't quote me on that, even though we're recorded. So with that, it was Steve Giordano who was teaching at the Pilates studio there at Purchase, and he wanted more Cadillacs, as we all want more Cadillacs. And he built a unit of pipes attached to each other against a wall there that when I was teaching at that studio there, I was still able to see those were in like a back room. And so he created the original wall units from my knowledge. And they were pretty rickety, but they really did the trick. And
same design though, same measurements, because they're a little off now.
Not necessarily. There were just a lot of like vertical poles to horizontal poles that stuck into the wall, and they were crisscrossed attached to each other. And from my knowledge, there might be somebody else who knows more about it. My understanding was that it was Steve Giordano in about 1980 at Purchase, creating that. And from there, perhaps other wall units, like 2 singular mats. This was to like multiple mats. This really multi-connected thing. And then obviously we ultimately then have towers and stuff like that.
That's interesting, the genesis.
Yeah, that's the knowledge that I have of it. But I'd be curious if somebody's listening to this and has some different knowledge, please let me know.
Okay, because maybe I'm wrong as well, but I seem to remember David Rosencrans saying to me that it was Basil's sort of a riff on the caddy.
Maybe it was. As far as I knew, it was Steve Giordano. And but maybe, hey, if you know, there's so much lore that goes on. And maybe I had been told it was Steve Giordano, but maybe he'd gotten it from Basil. I don't know.
Can you say more about the lore? Because there is a lot of lore going on.
Here's what it felt like when I was going through my apprenticeship. When I went through my apprenticeship and Romana would tell me and us all these stories, it was like as though like, oh, Joseph Pilates was this godly being. And all we got to know about was like how amazing he was and how blessed we could possibly be that we were here with her and Dragos. And oh, wow. And I think that was fun to be under that lore as an apprentice, but it starts to become this kind of godlike worship. And then when you stop and think about it, you're like, well, it's not possible that he never had to take an aspirin in his life. It's not, I mean, you didn't hear about Mr. Pilates' life. And he had emphysema and he had these blackened legs from poor circulation. I mean, the man was ill. And so the lore doesn't match up. And I think that goes back again to insecurity. I think it goes back to being like, if your back hurts, say your back hurts, even if you do Pilates. You know what? If you don't know what this or that is, say, I don't know, but I'll find out. And then do find out. So I think the lore is about making things as though, making people seem as though they're not human. And it somehow makes them that infallibility, if that's a word, then it's okay that they don't have the answers to the questions. It's okay that things don't make sense. And so there's lots of lore because I think there's lots of, again, I think it comes back to insecurity.
And from the first generation teachers who have been on this podcast, they all have their stories and they all have their experience with Joe and Clara. And then those stories get passed down. And then depending on who is hearing those stories of the stories get passed down.
Right. So there becomes, of course, it's the telephone game. It's the way that fables.
100%.
Right. And I personally, as you could hear, that I'm not into raising people into like
deities. Yes.
Deifying people. I think that if while we're sharing these kinds of stories, we're raising people to inhumane status, that then it becomes these crazy lures rather than humanizing stories. I think it's very human. I think it is.
It's ironic since this is or should be a healing modality.
Yeah.
So you can't really heal if you aren't in your body and you're not allowing the openness to receive.
Right. I think so too. And you can't really teach if you're not really present with the honesty of it all too. To be able to say, like I just said before, to be able to say, my back is hurting. Yes, I do Pilates. I'm a Pilates teacher. I'm great at it. And you know what? My back hurts because I'm a human being. Right. Or I don't know the answer to that question, but let's find out. Mm-hmm.
How soon after you learned about the Pilates method, actually, who did you learn from?
Yeah. Very first teacher was my physical therapist, was Joe Tata. He's a great physical therapist. And at the time, of course, I thought he was a great Pilates teacher. I had been paralyzed and I had a horrible dance accident on stage. My dance partner violently whipped me and my head snapped one way, my arm the other, and I herniated multiple discs in my neck. And after 11 months of physical therapy, enough healing at that time that I had feeling and use. It was my left arm into my shoulder. That was left hand to arm, full paralyzation into my shoulder. There was enough healing.
This is during a performance?
Yeah, during a performance. Yeah, awful, horrifying. And
horrifying.
Yeah. Oh, everything was horrifying about it. And so I had 11 months of I had more than 11 months of physical therapy, but 11 months of physical therapy until I was given 30 minutes of Pilates. And they kept saying, oh, we can't wait until your neck is stable enough for you to do Pilates. And I was like, what is this Pilates thing? And that's how I ended up getting into it. 30 minutes of Pilates, 30 minutes less of physical therapy each week until it became more and more Pilates.
Was it the Reformer or the Cadillac that you started with?
Oh, it was Mat Reformer, Cadillac.
You went to the mat?
I remember my first session was on multiple pieces of apparatus, which is what I recommend for everybody too. Yeah. And I remember thinking, where are we going now? Ooh.
Nice. And then how soon after, as you're healing, as you're getting more and more into Joe's method, how soon after did you start teaching, or were you always sort of a teacher mindset?
Yeah, I always was a teacher mindset. And I took this little aptitude test in 6th grade. We all go like, ooh, what are you supposed to be? And I was sure my thing was going to come out. You're supposed to be a rockette, or you're supposed to be like, a movie star.
Yes.
And of course, instead, what it came out with is you're supposed to be a teacher. And I was so disappointed. And now it was so right. So I had always been teaching dance
in New York City. In New York City,
yeah.
Okay.
And in New York City, at that time, while I was performing, I would sub at different places. I would sub at AMDA. I would sub at Broadway Dance
Center. Aww.
Boom. And and I would guest teach at different places when I'd be traveling, performing elsewhere, and so I definitely had a teaching mindset. It wasn't too long. Maybe it was about 6 months into, or 5 months. Must have been about 5 months, thinking about what my calendar was like. 5 months into doing Pilates that I started thinking, I'd like to teach this one day. Like one day, this would be kind of a fun thing to do during the day and then perform at night.
Yes.
So I thought one day I'd like to do this. It was pretty early on. And I remember my teacher, Joe, saying like, oh, it was Joe, and then it was Tone, saying, well, then we better teach you like how to set everything up and how to do everything, because one day you're going to want to teach this stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
And what year was that?
That was
2005?
No, it was about 19. No. It was 1998 or so, 99, while I was doing all of this Pilates and physical therapy at the same time. Yeah.
In the city.
Yeah, in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was at the Pilates Studio of New York on Broadway between, 74th and 75th.
Yeah. Well, there's steps.
Right. So it was upstairs.
Okay.
It was upstairs from.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then were we talking about Zabar's next door?
I'm not talking about
my gosh. Walking into that shop, unbelievable.
I'm always happy to talk about Zabar's.
Let me ask you, the vertical workshop, it's been well received here in America. How has it been received internationally? And are people in other countries different? Do they practice differently?
Yeah, I've been really, really blessed. It's been amazing. The reception across the world has been amazing for the vertical workshop. In the vertical workshop, we're really interested in critical thinking. We're very, very against blind acceptance.
She's in trouble.
Uh-huh. And I've found that sometimes at first people are like, wait a second, I'm allowed to ask questions. Yeah. And then I'm like, you're not only allowed, you're expected. I expect you to ask questions. That's the culture in this room right now. Whatever it was before I walked in was one thing. Right now, while I'm here, it is about asking questions and getting answers. And like I shared before, I always tell people, and if I don't know the answer, gosh, I'm going to want to know it too. I'll tell you, I don't know it. And then we'll find out.
Let's find out together.
So I have found that the reception internationally has been really, really remarkable. That not only the desire for critical thinking, but then the desire to understand more about what it is that we're doing, understand the human body more, and how what we do is either helpful or not effective, how to make sure what we do is really effective, to be more consistent in our work in that way. And part of the vertical workshop is also about having really extraordinary teaching tools. And so having the kind of tools to make teaching most effective, easier to deliver, and easier for your clients to then do what we want, what we're hoping they'll do to achieve their physical goals. Yeah.
Can you give us an example?
Well, even the way that not you, but one teaches an exercise to a client for the very first time. A person has never seen an exercise, whether this is a first timer to Pilates or an intermediate or an advanced. How do we choose our words so clearly that in a very short amount of time, we can have the very first repetition, our client doing the exercise by choosing our words very specifically? And to be clear with that first repetition, and then how do we build it for the next repetition and the next repetition so that our client has a very successful 3 to 5 repetitions the first time they've ever done an exercise without making any assumptions of like, well, my client, of course, knows what I'm thinking. Well, your client doesn't know what you're thinking. So a very clear, effective way of teaching. Another example is like how we use our voice when we teach.
Oh my gosh, don't get me started about the voice.
Yeah, we can a little bit. You're the voice lady, and me too. And I have this product called the Music of Pilates, and it teaches people how to deliver the rhythms and accents and tempos of exercises, and use your voice in a way that really supports the exercises. It makes teaching easier. It makes the workout easier for your clients. It's fun, and it honors so much of what each exercise is about. So many different teaching tools that are really effective.
That's one of the things that I take away, one of many that I take away from my training with Romana was her sense of rhythm. Example, absolutely. Stomach massage series. A lot of people that I observe teaching and practicing do not understand. They don't understand that there is a very specific rhythm, whether you're doing 10 reps or you're only doing 4 reps, where your breath is, how, just like you're saying, how you speak and guide the student so that she always would say, you're standing in front of the reformer, you are in their body with them. Mm-hmm. So are you going to put them to sleep, or are you going to get them to move with rhythm and precision? That takes a whole other kind of level of intellect and focus.
Yes.
So choosing your words is super important.
Yes. And right. Choosing your words and how you deliver them.
How you deliver.
Are you really present in the moment, or are you just rattling off a bunch of words? And so when you're really present, it's not speaking in, it's not just normal speak, although I hope when we speak to each other, we're always present. But when we're teaching, there's a heightened sense to our voices because we're teaching movement. We're not just talking about scientific equations, which I'm very happy to talk about, but we're not just doing that. And I speak differently when I speak in the world of biomechanics versus the world of
Movement.
Pilates, of movement. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, want to level up your teaser? When I'm not interviewing or editing, I'm helping students just like you get to the next level. If you'd like to understand the Contrology technique, come learn from me, whether online or in person. Just know I'm here and happy to help. Now, back to the interview. What would you say is an overall theme for the students and teachers who came to your studio? What were they after that perhaps they weren't getting?
Yeah. Both at my old studio and then now in this very different kind of way that I work, literally in everybody's homes, even, online and traveling so much. I think that people, I think people are searching for, teachers are searching for who come to me, let's say specifically teachers, are coming to me for my expertise in biomechanics and these teaching tools, wondering why my work is so effective. And there are these missing links that they're like, I need to understand more. And it seems like Shari's work, the vertical workshop, is answering that. So that is why people come to me. They want more information, more understanding, more ease in teaching. And it's harder at first to learn new things that make teaching easier later on. And I find that the people who come to me are willing to do that extra effort that's going to make their lives so much more efficient and their efforts so much more effective. The non-teachers who come to me because they've heard that, oh God, how do I say these words without it sounding really cocky? I'll just use their words. Like, I heard you're the expert of all experts. I'm coming to you.
Ooh.
Who told you that? The last teacher said, you know who you should go to? And you should go to Shari. So I have these people who, it's very sweet. I'm turning a little red right now.
Yeah.
Who are like, my teacher said, go to you. So that's how a lot of where my current status is.
Your background is in biomechanics, ergonomics. What's the difference?
Yeah. I love that you asked what's the difference. Biomechanics is the science of understanding the forces inside of your body and forces from the outside and how they affect you on the inside. I, in particular, study and work with the musculoskeletal systems, which, of course, nothing is isolated in the human body, but that's what I focus on. And in particular, from there, dysfunction. How do we develop dysfunction? And then how do we restore function?
Why do we?
Why do and how do? Sure. Yes. So that's biomechanics in a very shorthand way of saying it. Ergonomics is the science of how work affects humans. And so that could be anything from physically, the tools that you use, whether it be your chair or your desk or lights, or at an industrial facility, what kind of mechanics are going on literally with the machines that you're using and the materials, to cognitive ergonomics. How much load can you actually take from in concentration, and how does the brain work, and how does your work affect your brain? So, and also my primary work is dysfunction. Like, how does musculoskeletal dysfunction develop because of these things, the physical and cognitive aspects of work, and then how do we restore function?
Can you give an example of that?
Of like ergonomics?
Yes.
Aspect of it? Yeah, this is a super common thing. Let's think desk ergonomics or office ergonomics. How the height of your chair, the setting of the height of your chair will either cause or exacerbate lumbar pain and hip pain, versus when we have your chair set at the appropriate height to the height of your desk, to the distance from your keyboard and your screen, to then eliminate back pain. And so that's one simple example of like desk ergonomics. But then we have like cognitive ergonomics. And an example of that would be like oh, I can't think of what this is called. One of the guys, this is embarrassing. Air traffic controllers. How many hours can an air traffic controller sit vigilantly at at their screens and follow so many different planes, knowing where they're going to intercept or could intercept? And yes, there's all these computer things now, but the human vigilance is so intense. And that can cause back strain, neck strain, eye strain. There's a lot of.
Well, they aren't in their body. They're in their head.
You have to be very much in your head. And then how much does that intensity affect you physically? Yeah. And then what an ergonomist comes in and addresses different kind of things of cognitive ergonomics of like, well, how many planes can a person manage at one time? And how fast can the images come up on a screen? How much does a computer need to take care of that a human brain is going to be overextended on? Very interesting field from my perspective. Yeah. Cognitive ergonomics goes to many different things. A lot of people had like Zoom, there's a different word like Zoom burnout. And because the vigilance of staring at a screen is really intense.
And then you have ocular migraines.
Oh, sure. Plenty of ocular migraines.
Yeah, actually, I had it twice. I didn't know what it was. It's very scary.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it looks like you're looking into a diamond where the light is very fractured.
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
Fractured, or you're seeing like fractals they use, even though it's not math.
Yes, that is directly related to the staring that we do.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how our eyes, besides having eye drops near our computers, I wonder, it makes me think about the eye chart that Joe Pilates either designed or introduced. I'm wondering if those of us who are staring at the computer hour after hour, if there are some eye exercises perhaps that would keep our eyes.
There's just actually one really simple one. There's one.
Okay.
You have to your light.
Walk away.
Lighting is really good. But no, yeah, one of it is walk away. 20 minutes on, and then you have to look 20 feet away from you. 20 minutes on, then look 20 feet away from you and just look for like 20 seconds, 20 feet away from you. And that is very curative. First, to make sure there's appropriate lighting. Like right now, actually, I can light this side, but that's just for one side. But appropriate lighting, no glare from your screen, and 20 minutes on, 20 minutes look into the distance, at least 20 feet away from you, is a good thing to remember.
Is that accepted? Is that an accepted range and time?
Yeah. That's the most common recommendation. And I believe it's to look for 20 seconds, 20 feet away. It's a simple way to remember it.
2020.
Right. 20. 20 minutes on, look 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Cool.
Well, going from the vertical workshop concept to the many other approaches to the Pilates method, contrology, what are your thoughts about what is so available now?
You mean the many different styles that are available?
Yes.
I'm all for it. I believe if I'm what I call a classical Pilates teacher. I teach primarily Joseph Pilates exercises, and I teach it with modern biomechanics. That's the vertical workshop. But you know what? There's been a lot of drama again over many years. And as long as people are getting exercise that's not hurting them, and there's an honesty about what's being delivered in terms of, if somebody says my goal is this, and you say I can help you achieve that goal, that's honest, that those things align, I'm okay with it. In general, don't talk very much about my opinion on things. I'm a scientist, and I talk about like things that I can really share. Does my opinion really matter that much? But since you're asking me these things, my thought is, great. You're feeling good. You're moving. You're not getting hurt. Your goals are being achieved, and you're looking forward to going to that workout. And that's that's really great. So many different styles exist, and I'm cool with it. There's some stuff I'm not cool about with, and I'll talk about that in a second. But you look like you have a question right there.
Oh, how did you know that? Even though you don't necessarily want to give your opinion because this isn't science, what about programs that are out there? They're not necessarily harming anyone. People are excited to go and learn and feel better and have more energy, but it clearly is not Joe's methodology. But they're still calling it Joe's work. They're still calling it the Pilates method. Are you okay with that?
Yes, I am. And of course, there's a confusion inside of me because I come from the
Traditional.
my of it are from Ramana, and Ramana was very strong about this is Pilates and this isn't Pilates. And then the whole lawsuit happened. My thought is this: I think it all comes down to honesty versus being hypocritical. And what I mean by that is to say, I'm teaching this is a Joseph Pilates exercise as far as I know. And this is an exercise, Shari Berkowitz came up with it. Oh, Daniel Gold came up with this exercise. Oh, I came up with this exercise. This one came up with that exercise. I am a big believer in like naming who created the exercises. And I know 100% that comes from my original background, and in particular, the lawsuit. And so then with that, there's what I mentioned, hypocrisy, is there are plenty of people who claim to be classical teachers who are very upset that there are contemporary or therapeutic teachers calling themselves doing Pilates and saying things are Pilates when Joseph Pilates wouldn't have done it. But those classical teachers are teaching tons of exercises Joseph Pilates didn't teach either. So things that they made up or things they learned from somebody else. And then then I feel like you can't be mad at people who are doing a style of Pilates that you don't call classical when you yourself are not doing Joseph Pilates exercises. And then there's another thing, that there's a lot of contemporary style, as that's how we refer to it in the classical world, contemporary style teachers who are now upset with the new styles of Pilates that are coming out. Like, I can't remember what's the Superformer or something like that. What's it called on the huge
Legree?
Or maybe it's Legree's stuff, but just with these super heavy springs and huge group classes with shining lights and stuff like that. And they're really pissed off about it. That's not Pilates. I'm like, that's interesting, because 25 years ago, there was a fight that you were not doing Pilates. So that's why I say we have to watch out for hypocrisy from all sides of just name what it is that you're doing. And my philosophy is, as I said before, if you're not hurting people and you're actually helping people achieve their physical goals, excellent. There are plenty of people who claim to be major classical teachers who don't actually teach exercises Joseph Pilates taught. So I don't know what the big deal is here. I have plenty of people who say to me that Shari Berkowitz is not a classical teacher. Well, that's funny to me. I only teach Joseph Pilates exercises, I should say, except for like 3 exercises. How does that make me not a classical teacher?
So hold up, because then inside the classical, as you know, Joe never even used that term, or contemporary didn't exist. So what about the people who talk about their program as the archival Pilates? Archival meaning only what Joe put forth that we know of now through footage and writings. Is that what you're talking about?
I never heard that phrase. And so, but that's just, maybe I'm too cloistered away. Well, I think that it's very, again, this I think comes from
insecurity.
That trying to be like, I'm more like Joe, I'm more like this one, I'm more like that one. Oh, enough is enough. Just be more like you. Learn about the human body, figure out how to apply that education to teaching a movement modality. And if you're really into Joseph Pilates exercises, great. And if you're not, great. And the lawsuit from 1999, 2000
2000.
said when the final decision came in that everybody could call anything Pilates. Okay, that's what we got to go with. And then just teach your thing, learn more, share, and open up is my way of
Oh,
being.
okay. So speaking of open up or not,
Yeah.
I'm sure you've noticed that the same teachers are invited over and over again to headline at the various Pilates international conferences. Why do you think this is? And are you part of that exclusive club? Are you not? What are your thoughts about that?
I think that it's a really intriguing question. I think that putting on a conference is extremely expensive. And so when you put on a conference, you want to know that you're going to be able to sell tickets. And so the same most popular people, whether they're teaching high quality things or not, some are and some are not, from my perspective, will get picked because they sell tickets. I think to a small degree, I am part of that club to a very small degree. I'm a big challenge in the Pilates world. I'm such a heretic. I'm not afraid to say, no, that's bad for the human body. We can't do it that way. Or no, that's mean. Or no, that's disrespectful. You can't do that. Not on my watch. So I don't get invited to everything, and I'm okay with that. But I think that a lot of people are yes people. A lot of people are really high quality and doing great things. And a lot of people are have a lot of followers on social media. And so there's a multitude of different things that go on. So I don't think I'm part of that club that gets invited to everything because I'm a challenge. And I'm glad to be that challenge. I'm working for a paradigm shift in this Pilates world. I'm working for something different, something stronger for us all. And
I love that. I love that.
To them all. I'd love to be invited to every single one of them.
I know.
But you know what? I'm not because I'm a challenge. Yeah.
Yes.
And nobody could or should be invited to all of them. I think that we need to hear multiple voices. And
Yes.
I don't think that mine is the only voice to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I think we need, as I think our Pilates community needs to hear from multiple voices. I think a lot of people get frustrated of like, why isn't this person or that person getting asked to teach? And I think you have to have a very strong point of view. You have to have something that you really wish to share to deliver workshops and to deliver at conferences. So I would hope those who are listening who are like, I want to be part of those conferences, great, apply for them and be clear about what it is that you have to share. Know what is your niche? What is your point of view, that you have something that is specific to share.
Wonderful. And that leads me to a couple more questions, and you sort of answered some of it. But what are your future plans for the vertical workshop besides changing the paradigm?
I think this is the first place I've ever said that, like on a recording.
I love it. Declare who you are, girl.
Yeah. I think we need more people empowering each other.
100%. 100%.
It's time for this business, this community to be in it, really take charge of understanding the human body, understand each other, know how to really teach, care for each other, that really have a community.
And grow the F up.
Grow up. And again, that comes from real confidence that I believe is fostered by those of us who lead or not fostered. So let's keep leading to foster that. And with that, that's a huge part of the Vertical Workshop's future, is to continue searching for ways that I and my colleagues in the Vertical Workshop, that we can keep trying to build this community, build connecting with many different people and making sure that we are part of the development of the community. Yeah. In primarily continuing education ways, teacher to teacher ways, as and bridge building from teacher to teacher, program to program.
That's a lovely, lofty thought, idea. Putting it into action Do it. Keep doing it. If people want to learn more about you, how do they do that?
Go to theverticalworkshop.com.
Yes. Okay.
Or on my social media. And also that's the Vertical Workshop. And, I post a lot of free tips, videos. Of course, I'm marketing workshops and things like that, but I like to share as many free things as possible. So there's the Pilates teacher blog. There's also Shari Berkowitz and the Vertical Workshop on YouTube. So I try to share as much as I can at no additional charge. And then lots of classes and sessions and stuff. Anything online is pay what you can.
Wonderful.
To try to make things as accessible for people all over the world. Wonderful.
I love that. I think we should probably all do that.
I think that people are afraid to do it, and I get the fear, but I think it becomes very exclusionary if
it is.
Yes, it is. And so to be able to sit confidently in the work that you do and be able to say, you know what, here's a minimum, and here I'll call a maximum. But like, what's okay for you? And you know what, if none of that works for you, would you let me know? And let's figure out what would work for you. And I'm very big into that. I want to share as much information as people want to learn and build this community.
Awesome. Thank you, Shari Berkowitz. Fantastic.
Thank you. And look at what community building you're doing.
Yes. Yeah, I hope so.
Absolutely.
I hope so. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me and sharing with me. Thanks.
All Things Pilates is produced, written, edited, and hosted by me, Darian Gold. Mastered audio mix, Fabian Romero. Original music, aka Johnny. And we'd love for you to leave us a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. That way you let all of us know what you like about All Things Pilates. Also, if you're interested in helping to support this podcast, become a subscriber. It helps to cover all the back-end costs that accrue when producing a show. To learn more about how you can be part of our growing community, check out our show notes. A good leader inspires people to have confidence in the leader. A great leader inspires people to have confidence in themselves. Eleanor Roosevelt.